Yay. Okay. It's February 10th, second week of the Nourish Project. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Amazing. Okay. Everyone's amazing. Awesome. Um, so what I'm going to do is go around and have everyone do just a quick individual check-in. How's everything going so far? If you have anything that you have questions about or feel slightly overwhelmed, I would love to hear that. And I would guess other people may be feeling the same way that you are. I also would love to hear how it went with planning the meals and starting to think about protein, fiber, fat, and that stuff. If you were surprised or, discovered sort of like, what you realized about how you're currently eating and stuff like that. Okay. Well, Michelle, will you start us off?
Yeah, so the week went well. I tried to focus a little bit more on like my movement and getting some steps in around the house,
Mhm.
and even going for walks, even though it's been super duper cold. Um, so I've appreciated that. And then I started the journaling too, and I'd mentioned that I kind of have my like nice little morning time where I sit by like our sun porch by a window and I get a little bit of light in and have my coffee. So I think that's been just a nice moment to give to myself during the days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really nice. That sun porch is clutch, especially if you can be out in it right now when it's
Yeah.
-11 in the mornings.
Yeah. And then it's always a challenge to get all the protein in and, and tracking all that, but
Mhm.
the tracking's been going well.
Good. Okay. Awesome. Who wants to go next? Any volunteers?
I'll
I'll
go.
go. Oh, go ahead.
I I didn't start like writing things until Monday, so it's only like
Yeah,
day
no
3 of like
problem.
writing stuff.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's keeping me at least accountable to myself a bit more than I was. And I need to do better with the like not the tracking part, but the planning part of it.
Mhm.
So I kind of just like look around. I'm like, oh yeah, I have this. Let me like throw some things together. So like going into this next week, I just want to be a lot more intentional and like do a real grocery shop around like what I'm planning on doing. But I did go to Target and I did see the beef and broccoli, so I picked that up. Very excited to try it. So I think
In
more
full disclosure, it was like it was
it's all
better
right.
than okay, but it wasn't like, you're at the restaurant. So I would
Yeah,
add a little like hot sauce or siracha to kick it up a notch.
fair. Better than like whatever, like I
Yeah.
literally haven't done like a big grocery shop in a while because
Mhm.
of the snow and everything. So yeah, just being more mindful about that. And like you answered my protein question, which thank you. But I'm obviously excited to get to a point where I'm like, am I eating like too many carbs? I don't know, like I had an egg, like an English muffin and a sandwich. Then, like, am I going crazy? So,
Not going crazy. Yeah, we will get there very soon.
mhm.
In case you guys are wondering, Ariel's protein question was she had, what was it, like some in the 40s,
46, I think it was.
46, and she said, is this like I'm doing it, but am I like going nuts with this? Is too much? It's almost very hard to get too much protein. Actually, if you get to the range of like 2.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're eating like 300 grams of protein per day, that's when it could start
Okay.
causing problems, kidney problems, stuff like that. So, my goal is to get all of you up to around 1 gram of protein per pound of your body weight. So it's going to depend on your own body.
Mhm.
But I tend to eat like 40 to 50 grams of protein like 4 times a day at least. So not a problem. If you're getting used to eating that much protein, you might feel sort of like a heavy, kind of just like in your gut as you're like digesting all that protein. But it's kind of just a matter of like getting like building it up and getting your body used
Mhm.
to having that much protein, and then having it, smaller meals more frequently.
Yeah.
No, 40 to 50 grams, not a problem at
And
all.
I'll just throw this out there, and we don't have to talk about this now, but I am, and this may just be me, I am the worst. I put salt on like everything, and I like over salt everything, and I'm very now that I'm like thinking about it more, I'm like, oh my God, I probably have like all this water weight that I'm like holding on to, but it's like a long-term, decades long issue. So
Mhm.
it's a hard habit to break, but I do want
I do
to say
that
that out
too.
loud so that other people can hold me accountable because it's something I like do on the regular.
Okay, sure. So definitely, drinking as much water as possible to flush that out will help. And then the thing is actually you get a lot more sodium from processed foods than from like adding salt, onto your food. So I would, kind of look at that before you worry about the salt that you're sprinkling on. And then also think about like other ways to flavor your food, like with herbs like cilantro, chives, that kind of stuff, or sriracha, hot sauce, mustard, like that kind of stuff can also go a long way. And it takes a while for your taste buds are used to that level right now, and then kind of easing back. Okay, that's amazing. And I did in the past a meal planning workshop that was like how to plan a month's worth of meals in 30 minutes or less. And I'll plan to do one of those again kind of in the next week or two, not on our Wednesday call, but just sort of like a pop-up one. So that should be helpful too. But in the meantime, just focusing on, planning and grocery shopping ahead of time is like uh I can't like overstate how helpful it is. Okay, amazing. Mary, how about you?
Well, I had a slow start because we moved my daughter, who's 25, to Chicago on Saturday. And so,
Congratulations. She
yeah,
has
I
a
know. There you go.
I'm
Yep.
like, do I have any
So
friends? Go bring it
I
down.
know, seriously, she does. And they were all over. And honestly, we ate pizza and mac and cheese and chips. And oh my God. So on the way drive home, I read through everything, got signed up for my fitness pal. I've been tracking my calories and macros for 2 days. I ordered groceries today, got tons of veggies and food, protein. I think somebody put on Facebook, I had no idea that I was eating such little amounts of protein and also how much fat is in things. So I have two questions.
Yeah. Wait, what was it? How much fat is in what?
Yeah, no kidding.
Just like everything? Or
Well, just how much is in, yeah, like I had a chicken sausage and then when I pulled up my fitness app, it was like, oh, I'm already at my fat, count. But I've always heard that you shouldn't like have fat-free, like, yogurt and dressings and stuff like that. But I noticed on your chart that everything is pretty much fat-free.
There's like various different schools of thoughts of it. I wouldn't use probably fat-free dressing because the fat is like the part of the dressing and they change it and like put in a whole bunch of sugar and chemicals.
Yeah.
For dairy, I used to like do that where I was like, I'm only eating like full fat everything, but I've switched a lot in the past 2 years to just focusing on the macros and it really works well. And so the reduced fat dairy tends to have higher protein and lower fat, and it does not taste gross as opposed to like I grew up eating like fat-free Miracle Whip, which is super gross, fat-free Thousand Island dressing, which is super gross. Like those kind of things are like to me like but like reduced fat, not fat-free cheese, or reduced fat or fat-free cottage cheese or Greek yogurt are great. And then you can kind of like once we get into actually calculating your macros and tracking, it may be if you're like always low on fat, you may want the full fat stuff to get the protein and the fat. But if you're always going over, or you're like, well, I want to get my fat from peanut butter or avocados or like an unsaturated fat, then maybe you get the fat-free dairy stuff. Because then it also gets into like the saturated fat coming from dairy versus like vegetables, vegetable oil, coconut oil, avocado, that kind of stuff being unsaturated fat. So
Okay.
It's complicated. There's definitely a
Well, that makes
period.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a
Okay.
little
And
bit what works for
my
you.
second question was, do all of you, if you're using MyFitnessPal, did you upgrade to the premium so that you can track, so it tracks everything more thoroughly, or are you just using the free version?
So I tell everyone that you don't need the premium version. I have, I think, 1 or 2 clients who like the MyFitnessPal, the premium, because it lets you set your macros more accurately. And I know we're not even there yet,
Yeah.
but it gets the free one gets close enough.
Okay.
That's what I recommend. I don't like to have people like buying things and buying things and buying things. And I know the premium has a new feature where you can like scan your meal, like take a picture of it. I don't really trust that because I think
Yeah.
like I want people to be like up close and personal with their food. Like you should be weighing your food, and that's how you learn how to like eventually eyeball it and say like this is the size portion that I need. If you're not like
Yeah.
that up close and personal with it, you're not going to learn. It's just kind of like taking a shortcut to doing it.
Okay. Makes sense.
So, yeah. Is anybody else who's used MyFitnessPal before done the premium version?
Yeah, I'm doing the premium version,
Hmm.
but that's just to get the macros and setting the goals in there
Yeah.
and whatnot. I haven't tried the picture thing because I just don't trust technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, the
Okay.
basic is fine, but if you want the premium, my clients who have it, like they kind of like get hooked on it and then they're like, oh, I can't go back.
Okay.
I've always used the basic one though. Yes. Okay. Awesome. How about Laura? How about you?
Okay, so I am tracking my macros because I have my numbers from working with Annie from before. So I've been putting all of that into MyFitnessPal and keeping an eye on those numbers. But I've been trying to focus on the protein. My problem, and this is a problem that kind of is coming up from before too, when I cook for my family and myself, I have a hard time avoiding like fattier proteins. Like my kids love steak and they love hamburgers. So I try to budget in the day time to like save some room for fat, but it's hard. It's really hard when you're eating like tonight we had steak and it was like, shoot, my fat is like boom, like way up because I wasn't really thinking at lunchtime about that for supper.
Mm-hmm.
So I just need to, I don't know what the answer is there other than just find some better lean proteins that we can all eat.
Yeah. And it's a good.
I like chicken, but like how many times can you have chicken in a week?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and it is really good to find, settle on a mix of going back and forth between lean meats, lean sources of protein and the fattier, more richer ones, because they taste good. And we can't all eat like grilled chicken breast every single meal, like blah, right? So, it's good to get, and also our body gets sensitive to if we're eating the same protein sources over and over again. So it's good to have that variety. But I think, planning, I'm going to be talking about planning for the next 12 weeks. So if you can pre-program it into MyFitnessPal, and then like know what the macros are, know what you're working around. And if it's a fattier cut of meat, if it's burgers, maybe you make yourself a turkey burger and everyone else has like beef burgers. That's literally what we're doing tonight because I got sick of not getting to have bacon and cheese on my burger. And it was like, I want this too. So now Fred makes me a turkey burger and I would get like the super lean beef and then nobody was happy because it's like super dry and gross. So, maybe just like, get yourself a different cut, maybe get yourself like a filet mignon and everyone else's ribeye or, a box of, frozen turkey burgers and just like have one of those for you and the beef for the girls with you're still having the same meal, but, just without too much effort a little different for you. But yeah, then, and just planning and knowing like more of your fat is going to be coming from that. And then just watching what you're having as sides or through the rest of the day, that can help too.
One thing that I am really proud of, let's see, was this maybe Sunday and Monday night? Instead of like just putting all the leftovers away from the meal, I portioned them out and like weighed them ahead of time. So then for lunch on Monday and lunch on Tuesday, I just grabbed it right out of the fridge, and I had marked it in MyFitnessPal already. So I was like, woohoo, like one
That's
thing
awesome.
to think about. So that was a win.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love doing leftovers like that because then it's all, especially if you are eating, you know, a couple meals that are all about the same size, you can just grab one and you already know that it fits your macros, it fits all your requirements, everything. Okay, cool. Ambria, how about you?
Well, I should have known why I've become so unhealthy, but I guess I didn't until I paid attention this week.
Mm-hmm.
Discovered that I walk about 2,000 steps a day, and I don't drink any water. I've never looked at a label. So for me, it was, maybe I didn't have a lot of accomplishments, but it made me move. I started a reward system where I couldn't have my second cup of coffee till I had 30 ounces of water.
Love that.
I didn't get to the fiber and fat, but I thought about protein. I thought that was a win.
That is a win. This week was all about awareness and sort of like discovering what you didn't know before, right? Like that's really what I wanted you guys at.
Well,
So
I now know I'm a disaster, and I knew it before. I just didn't know why. So, and definitely not enough protein, even though I felt like all I ate was protein. But hearing you, I didn't do the MyFitnessPal. So
that's okay. I should just say Mary kind of like jumped the gun a little bit, and that's fine, but I don't want anyone else to feel like they should have done that. And Laura, as you guys know, has been coaching with me for a while, so she's already kind of up and running on that. So don't worry. I just wanted you guys sort of journaling through it and thinking about how much protein am I getting and where is it coming from?
Yeah, meal planning was good, but I've now gone through like the 4 things I know how to make. So, and then the last is I bought tulips, and those like have made my week. I'm away from my desk in front of yellow tulips every day, and I feel like that has made not grabbing a snack maybe a little better. So a lot to work on, but it at least got, I think, my head back into a space to see reality and to think about the things I should be thinking about.
Good. That's amazing. I love that reward system of the no more coffee until I drink the water.
I mean, I've cheated a few times, but then I would hurry and, drink the water after.
Well, there's a long learning curve with a lot of this stuff. Like we're building a whole new lifestyle and changing habits that are really deeply ingrained. So, just a lot of times that awareness is the win, or looking back at like, okay, before I would have drank no water without thinking of it. So at least, you're like pausing and being like, oh, let me go get my water, stuff like that. Okay. BB, last but not least, how was your week?
Hi, everybody. I apologize for eating in front of you, but
it's okay.
But I just got home and I'm trying to be better about eating more often. Yeah. So I figured if anybody would understand, you would. So I've just been enjoying hearing what everybody's saying, because I have to say I was pretty overwhelmed with everything. And normally when I have gotten overwhelmed with things about myself, I'm just like, forget it. It's not going to work anyway. So I can't do it. I'm just not going to do it. And I didn't do that this time. So I just decided not to get overwhelmed. There's things I'm not doing yet. And things I haven't really gotten organized yet, but I did start with my food and my water, which I thought was a good place to start. Normally I eat, maybe I get a breakfast bar at 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm heading off to work, and then I have dinner. And if I do eat lunch, then I don't think I have to eat dinner. And if I'm hungry, then I'll, have some Cheerios or something. So, and yet I'm still gaining weight and feeling crappy. So, obviously that wasn't working, but it's my habit. It's my routine. It's always been that way. And I've never, since I was an athlete, which was a really long time ago, taken care of myself. And so just thinking about it, and I did do my Fitness Pal because I didn't want to write things down twice. So I figured I'll just get that and then I can put it in there. And that was one of my questions, Annie. Is that okay? I don't have to
Yes.
write it in the thing later.
Absolutely. And tonight I'm going to talk about that. So for next week, we're going to shift to tracking food in MyFitnessPal. We're going to we're going to move along. I don't want anyone to get overwhelmed. So if you do feel overwhelmed, just like reach out to me privately. And a few of you have this week.
I did.
I'm like, yeah, no worries. It's a lot. And not only that, but you're all really busy women, right? So if you feel at all overwhelmed, just reach out to me and I'll be like, no worries. Like, I got you. Just focus on this thing.
Yeah.
And then we'll focus on the next thing. But we are going to shift to tracking our food in MyFitnessPal this week. So I'll talk more about that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been shopping a little bit. Actually, I shopped a lot. But that was before I got the frozen food is okay thing, which is transformational. I don't have to cook only fresh food from scratch.
Yes.
And that'll be helpful because I can cook. I just don't cook very much. And so just time-wise and ease of everything and things not spoiling, which is another reason not to buy food, because if you don't eat it, it spoils. And then, all of that, good excuses for not doing what is good for you. So, I think I'm okay. I think I'm getting started okay.
I think you are too. How I will explain that frozen food is okay comment in case anyone doesn't exactly know what we're talking about. But how was that buffalo chicken salad that you made?
It was yummy. I use my, I have all these tools. Like I have a Food Pro. I've got an Instapot. I have all this stuff that usually just sits in, that I don't use. But I made like 3 pounds of chicken and I shredded it. And now I have it portioned in my fridge. Me, right?
Yes.
It was good.
Awesome.
It was really good. And it wasn't hard.
Yes, I love it. Okay, the frozen food is okay comment, in case anyone didn't see that in the Facebook post or like just get a little confused. So I will post a lot of what I eat because I have a lot of like pro tips and secrets and like stuff that I throw together. But you guys will see my overwhelming theme is if I'm cooking it, it has to be like 10 minutes or less. It has to taste good and it has to fit my macros / be healthy. And one of the ways I do that a lot is I have no shame in like salad in a bag. I will go to Target or Trader Joe's or whatever and get like 3 or 4 salads in a bag and be like, this is what we're having, and throw some chicken in and done. Same thing with frozen, frozen stir fry. I made that the other night and I made some cauliflower rice. I was going to have regular rice, like you can have carbs, but we were just out of it or no, I got lazy and the rice would have taken too long. So cauliflower rice and like frozen stir fry vegetables, and boom, it came together for like beef and broccoli stir fry in like 10 minutes. And also added some frozen cream cheese wontons, which of course, you think like, well, that's not healthy, but I had 3 and they were delicious. And then the most of the meal was the protein, the veggies and stuff like that. So frozen vegetables and fruit are actually picked at the peak of their ripeness and frozen right there. So you actually get a lot more nutrients from frozen than even fresh, because fresh stuff is picked when it's not quite ripe and then it's like on a truck forever and then it starts going bad and then you buy it and then it goes bad in your refrigerator and then you feel wasteful. So like frozen fruit or frozen vegetables are a great option for lots of reasons, and they are a-okay for eating healthy and meeting your macros. Okay, awesome. It sounds like everybody's off to a great start. I'm really excited about that. I am going to share my screen and go into the slides. Okay, so cool. So Went over this last week, just sort of the Nourish project overview. Just as a repeat, our goal is to eat better, move more, stress less, and love deeper. And we're going to spend the next 11 weeks now really learning what that actually means and how that applies to our own body, because everyone is as different on the inside with your chemical makeup as you are on the outside. And then practicing, learning how to implement what we're learning in your busy lives. And that's a funny comment, I think. Oh, I wanted to say one more thing. When BB said, I can cook, I'm sure you all can cook. You all can run a business. Like, you all can have amazing careers. Like, we all can cook, right? But like, who has time for that right now, right? Like, it's just like not maybe your priority. And that's okay. That's totally okay too. But if you love cooking, even more the better. Okay, so there are a few things we're going to need moving forward. First of all, everyone at this point, if you haven't yet, should download the MyFitnessPal app and create their own account. When you do, add me as a friend. I will send my information so you can add me as a friend, and then share your diary in your privacy setting with friends so that I can actually get in there. Oh yeah, Amber said, if we have time, can we talk protein powder today? Yes, we can definitely do that. Okay, so download MyFitnessPal, create your account, and then add me as a friend. And then on your privacy settings, you're going to go in there and set it to share your diary with friends. That way, if you have questions, and especially as we're getting started, I can just pop in there and see what's really going on. I don't have to ask you like a ton of questions or have you like screenshot and send it to me. I can just actually get in there and kind of help you troubleshoot or problem solve as we go along. Okay, any questions about that? Cool. And like we said earlier, the free one is just fine. If you want to try premium, I think they give you like a 2-week free trial. I do know that people kind of get sucked into the premium one and then they think that they can't live without it. Either way, totally fine. Everyone is going to need to also purchase a few small things. So a food scale, if you don't already have one. So this is a kitchen scale that you like weigh your food with in the kitchen. I'll send a link to one that I recommend. It's like 10 to 12 bucks. So pretty small purchase. I'll send an Amazon link. But really any basic one works fine. It just has to have the basic features that it will do both ounces and grams. And it's basically it. I mean, they're pretty simple. Does anybody already have one of those? Laura, you probably have one. BB has one. Awesome. There we go. Okay, yeah, some people might have these. A scale, a human scale you're going to need. And then get some Tupperware or meal prep containers if you don't already have some. I like the ones that all like stack up together. So, growing up, I had like 18 different Cool Whip containers and stuff, but now I just go to Target and get like the stack where they all fit together so it doesn't like take over your entire cupboard. Okay, BB, you are on top of the game. I love that. And then the last thing is I'm going to start talking about workouts next week, but I'll send you the link to what I recommend for home workouts. This week, I really recommend that everyone just gets a set of these resistance bands and the dumbbells. If you have dumbbells, amazing. If you have elliptical, a bike, a treadmill, whatever you can kind of pull together for a home gym, that's fantastic. But the dumbbells are kind of expensive because weights cost like $2.25 per pound. So that can add up pretty quickly. But these resistance bands are amazing. And it's like about $30 for like a whole set. That will like give you the flexibility to do like almost anything that you could do in the gym. So if you have a gym membership and you're able to go to the gym and feel safe going to the gym now, that's fantastic. I will, as we get into it, I'll give you guys both home workouts and gym workouts that you can do pretty much anywhere just using really these resistance bands and maybe one set of dumbbells. Okay, so and you know, as always, I'll send an email reminding you of this information. So don't feel like you need to get it all right now. Okay, so eating better. We went over macros a lot last time. Sounds like everyone's kind of got that. So I'm gonna breeze through this and just want to go over a little bit, you know, pushing fiber and micronutrients like vitamins, nutrients, stuff like that is super important too. So the micronutrients are really helpful for healing, recovery, anti-inflammation, antioxidants, help the body recover and heal. And so you're going to get those from having a good mix of fruits and vegetables. I was listening to a podcast today about supplements and green juice, green powder, stuff like that. You know, like everything we're going to talk about, it's kind of a spectrum. Like, yeah, of course, the best option is to like ride your bike to the farmer's market and buy some heirloom tomatoes, right? If you can't do that, the next best option is like some frozen veggies in your freezer. If you can't get those, like, you know, powder, like greens powder or something like that is a great option too, to just help round that out. Same thing with fiber. I've had clients ask about like fiber powder that you can add to stuff. Same thing, you know, the best option is to get it always from whole processed food. But it's real life. And if the only way to get enough fiber is to throw a scoop of a fiber supplement into your shake or your juice or something, no problem doing that. So fiber is super important, helps with digestion. It actually binds to fat as it's going through our digestive system. The fat is what contains the toxins. So as you're losing fat, you're also releasing toxins. It's going to help you feel fuller, and it's going to boost up your metabolism. So lots and lots of really good things, also going to help keep us regular. So lots of good things with fiber. And then water as well, obviously stays hydrated, but really, really helps with mental clarity. A lot of times you might feel tired or kind of groggy or like brain fog, and just drinking water is going to help with that. It also helps process protein. And since everybody's eating a lot more protein than they have been, correspondingly drinking more water is going to be really helpful. It's going to help flush out all those toxins. One of our body's ways to cleanse itself, to get rid of toxins, is through going to the bathroom. And so having enough water to flush out the system that way, and also to sweat it out, is going to help get out those toxins that we eat, or environmental toxins, or what have you. And then the last thing is it increases metabolism, which we all love, increasing metabolism instead of cutting our calories to lose weight. Does everybody have a water bottle that they love? If you're holding it right now, bonus points. Yes, amazing. Okay, good. So I really recommend getting like one or two that you love, and then keeping it with you. I saw one of my friends, it was another health coach. She was telling her clients to treat their water bottle like their binky, like always have it with you. And I really like Ambria's rule of like, okay, like before the second coffee, I have to have 30 ounces of water. I kind of do that as well, where I'm like, okay, if I'm working with a client, I'm going to drink this whole water bottle by the time this is up. I'm going to drink my second water bottle by lunchtime, you know, just to kind of keep you on track, because there can be, especially as we have a lot of coffee lovers here. Yeah, right. You just sit there and drink coffee, right? So yeah, get that water in. Okay, and then the fourth macro, I touched on this just briefly last week, but I'll go into it a little bit more tonight. So alcohol, as the macro, is really truly empty calories. It's not protein, it's not carbs, it's not fat. Now, some alcoholic drinks will have carbs because, beer or a mixed drink or something like that, but just straight alcohol will actually have calories, but it won't have any of those macros that we use for fuel. A lot of times they'll be advertised now because of keto and stuff that is like X number of net carbs, but it won't say how many calories it still has because it's not counting the alcohol calories. So I will post a little graphic in the Facebook group for how we track alcohol. But we will take all the calories from alcohol and either count it as carbs, which are 4 calories per gram. Yeah, or, and then, or fat, which is 9 calories per gram. So for example, if it's like a 90 calorie beer, you could count it as 10 grams of fat or as like, approximately like 24 grams of carbs. Does that make sense to everyone? We're kind of just like making do with this. In terms of pros and cons, there's not a ton of pros with it. I mean, there's like the evidence that there is like, oh, the antioxidants in red wine could, is good for you, but there's quite frankly a lot of other ways to get antioxidants in, could reduce stress. Like it could be, it's just fun. Like, let's just be honest. Like it's fun. It's definitely not off limits. As you guys know, like my rules on food and drinks is nothing is off limits, nothing is restricted, but it's just about knowing the pros and cons and deciding whether it's something that fits in to your goals and what you need. So the cons of alcohol are it slows down your metabolism. Among other things, but that's just a starting point. The body interprets it as a toxin. So it will halt the entire metabolic process for all the food you've actually eaten while it prioritizes metabolizing the alcohol to get that out of your system. So that alone, if you have, weight loss or fat loss goals, it's going to slow down your metabolism versus, water or the other food that we talked about that we're eating, it is literally going to boost up your metabolism. Can also, of course, lead to bad decisions in terms of other food choices or more drinks that come after it. But if you are drinking it, I'll put the little chart in the Facebook group for how to track that, if you're having a drink or two. Okay. Any questions about all that stuff? Macronutrients, micronutrients. I know it's a lot, but we're just kind of going like a little bit deeper into it every week. So any questions? Questions? Okay. So the question you probably are having is, how much do I need? So that is what we're going to figure out between this call and next call. And then on our next call next Wednesday, it's going to be awesome because I'm going to teach you guys how to calculate your own macros and then how and when to adjust them. But each person's macros are super customized to yourself. It depends on your height, your weight, your age, your gender, your goals, your dieting history is a huge one. Your eating preferences, your lifestyle, all those things go into figuring out what your goal macros are. So we'll figure that out next week. But what we need to do this week is get a baseline of where you're just naturally eating. A lot of times, especially with women, our metabolism is adapted down because of diets and restricting calories or not eating. And so you may technically with a healthy metabolism be like, if I just calculate it, I might say like, oh, you should be eating 2,000 calories a day. But you're like, oh, I'm eating like 1,200 calories a day. And then if that's the case, then we need to slowly build up your metabolism. We can't just jump up like 1,000 calorie jump a day. So that's why I want you guys all to start tracking your food in MyFitnessPal because we want a really good baseline, at least 3 to 5 days. But so, you know, if you're ready to start with that right now, get started with it. That'd be awesome. If you need some time and kind of need to play around with it, maybe over the weekend, do that so that by Wednesday we have a good baseline and we can look at where you're falling in terms of how much protein you're eating, how many grams of carbs, how many grams of fat, and how many calories on average. And we'll use that to factor your starting macro targets next week. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, cool. Fiber is also going to show up in MyFitnessPal. The goal for women is 25 grams of fiber per day. For men, it's 30. That again, like the protein, most people who are eating sort of a standard American diet aren't getting anywhere close to that much protein or that much fiber. So that's just something to also get a baseline on. And if you're generally getting 10 grams of fiber, you know, we're not going to set your goal at 25. We're going to set your goal at like 12 or 15 and kind of baby step it on up. So your body, we're not like overwhelming your body or your mind. Right? We're just sort of easing into all of this. And then for water, you can also track water in MyFitnessPal. And the goal for that is half your body weight in ounces. Or the gold standard, you hear kind of people who lift or like bodybuilders talk about drinking a gallon of water. That's 128 ounces. So depending on your current body weight, that might be like a ton, but anywhere from like half your body weight to 100 ounces a day to a gallon is a good place. But it's important to get a baseline first and be like, oh, I'm drinking 20 ounces of water. And I have some clients who started there, right? So if you're starting there, drinking a gallon might be kind of overwhelming, but if you're drinking 20, we're going to boost you up to 30 and then 40 and just get moving in that direction. Okay, cool. Everybody good with that? Yes. Awesome. Okay, I want to point out something fun fact about nutrition labels. They are very often wrong. So, this is, you know, standard nutrition label. It's going to give you the grams of fat, the grams of carbohydrates. Right here is your fiber and then your protein, and then calories up at the top. But food companies by law are allowed to round up or down to the like as much as 20%, I think, to make their calorie numbers look pretty and look nice. So if you think about that, if you're eating like a 2,000 calorie diet and the calories are off by 10%, that's 200 calories, which it could add up to like, you know, maybe you're gaining a pound a month and you can't figure out why. It's because the calories are way off. So we are always going to focus on the macros. And the worksheets that I gave you guys, it should calculate based on when you input the grams of protein, carbs, and fat that you're eating, it should calculate the accurate amount of calories. That's going to be different than the calories that MyFitnessPal is telling you, because MyFitnessPal is just taking the nutrition labels from the food and it's just like inputting that information. It's not really thinking like, is this right or is this wrong? It's just like inputting the information. So like in this example, the fat has 9 calories or 9 calories per gram. It's 108 calories. Carbs have 4 at 31 grams. It's 124. Protein has 4 calories with 5 grams of protein. That's 20 calories. So it adds up to 252. The calories just say 250. And I've seen them way more off. And sometimes they're higher, but usually they're lower because companies want you to think that their calories are lower. So that's just something to look out for and be aware of. And if you see a discrepancy in MyFitnessPal, another thing where the discrepancy can come up is if it says, like once you have your macro set as a target, and it might tell you, that you're right on, you've hit every single one of your macros, you have 0 left, but you have 150 calories left. It says that all the time, and this is why. So when that comes up, just have a little trigger in your brain, like, oh yeah, we talked about that, because the food industry can fudge their information, but the macros will always be right. So always focus on the macros. Okay. I just love this picture. This is such a great example of what you can do eating with macros. You can have the pizza and you can have the cookie, right? But it's not like salads all week and then 4 pieces of pizza. It's eat like this kind of every single day, so that every day you have some food that you love, some greens, a little treat, and it really works well for help people stay happy and hit their goals all at the same time. Okay, so this weekend, and I know our calls are on Wednesday. So when we do things by the week, I kind of want that cushion where okay, we have this call tonight. If you're ready to switch to tracking food right now, cool, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll kind of think this is the homework for next week. Does that make sense? So it kind of gives you a couple days to figure everything out and get used to it. But at some point over the next couple of days, switch to tracking your food in MyFitnessPal. I'll send a few tutorials that I made with tips and tricks of how to use it and how to get started. But for now, do not worry about setting your goal calories or macros, because that's what we're trying to figure out. Which email should we use? Oh, I will also send you what my username is for MyFitnessPal and a picture of the thing, so you make sure that you have the right person. Okay, so don't worry about setting your goal calories or your macros. You can let it do it if you want to, or just leave it. But we're really kind of focused on counting up, because we just want to get that baseline of what are you really eating. Obviously, continue to try to prioritize protein and fiber and stuff like that. But I also don't want you eating on your best behavior, because we actually want to get a accurate depiction of what you're really eating, right? So you do not need to be okay, I'm eating all salads. No, I wouldn't even want you to eat all salads anyway, right? So just eat like you normally eat, but think about boosting that protein and the fiber and stuff like that. So the goal is just to get that accurate baseline of what you're really eating and get some numbers that we can use next Wednesday on our call. So track the food, everything that you eat, order that scale and start playing around with weighing and measuring. I'll be talking more about that. It's kind of, there's a lot of things to learn, but eventually, using that food scale and weighing and measuring your food, it should become kind of second nature. At first, it kind of takes a little bit of getting used to. It might take a little bit more time, but just give yourself lots of grace. Know there's going to be a learning curve, and that we're just learning a new way of doing things here. Also in MyFitnessPal, you can track your water and you can track your weight. That's under the progress tab. But if you have a different place that you want to track your water, I do still want you tracking your water and tracking your weight. But if you would rather do that just in your journal, or if you have a different app that you do it, that's no problem. But the food, for sure, I definitely want everyone in MyFitnessPal. And then for the journal, I want you to continue tracking in your journal. So still doing the morning and bedtime journaling, especially if you're enjoying that and you're making it into a little morning routine. You're going to keep tracking your steps, your workouts, if you're doing any. This is not the focus yet. So if you're not doing any workouts right now, no worries. It's really not the homework, because I'm going to talk about walking a little bit later. And I know it's cold out. I know it's cold out, but I really want you guys focused on just daily movement and steps, and seeing how you can get creative with getting that in before we turn to working out. Because I think so many times in fitness and weight loss, exercise is touted as the magical solution, right? I'm going to get it right. I'm going to go back to the gym. And exercise actually doesn't work for weight loss. Like 75% of people who just start exercising don't lose weight. They either stay the same or they gain weight because of intensified hunger and cravings. So I don't want anyone to have the mindset that this is about exercising or that's the magic pill. I mean, I'm definitely pro working out and pro exercise, but it's more about for your energy, for boosting your metabolism, for building muscle and those things, which we'll get to later on. So anyway, long story short, if you're already working out and that feels good to you, just track those workouts in your journal. If not, don't worry about it. And then also I want you to keep track of your stress level, your sleep, which should be in here. And then your hunger, energy, and cravings. You could give yourself like a 1 to 10 scale, and maybe just sort of like a qualitative, like, oh, I was starving today. My energy was really high. My energy was low. Super craving carbs, anything like that is really helpful. All of these things, stress, sleep, hunger, energy, cravings, for understanding what's going on with your hormones and with your metabolism. Okay. Okay, so any questions about that? Cool. Does everybody feel good about it? Yes. Awesome. Okay, cool. So the other one more new thing I want you guys to build in this week is start incorporating a little baby meditation practice. And this does not need to be big and overwhelming and sitting for 30 minutes or an hour, without moving. If you already have something that you love, cool. I'm going to recommend this Insight Timer app, which is free and has a lot of different guided meditations on, you could look for ones like starting the morning or gratitude or stress management, stuff like that. So I'll have one that I recommend, and I want you to try just like adding it in. It could be in the morning, it could be at bedtime, it could be at lunchtime, whenever it works best for you. But just start kind of playing around with that and see how it goes. Okay. Does anybody already have a meditation practice that they love? Laura, Michelle. Okay, cool. So some people, awesome. Okay. I think you guys know this. I'm going to kind of breeze through it, but generally, the current state of our health, especially for like professional women, high achieving women, is not great. When you talk to people, it's like, how are you? I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I'm exhausted. A lot of us are not prioritizing our own health. And it's like women who I tend to work with who are overachiever, perfectionists, that like busy as a badge of honor, I'll sleep when I die kind of mentality. And I want to, this is kind of like your big homework for the week, is kind of dig into that. Journal through what stories or thoughts maybe you've been telling yourself, such as like, whether it makes a difference if you take good care of yourself and your health. Maybe you are saying always, I'll take care of myself when I finish this project, when this kid goes to school, when I retire, right? Like, are you telling those kind of stories to yourself? Do you have guilt around taking time for yourself or eating what you need or saying what you need, stuff like that? Is there issues like shame or guilt maybe around resting or sleeping or taking care of yourself because you feel the need to earn acceptance or love through productivity and through like going and doing. So I want you to just take some time this week and kind of think about these things and journal through it and just become aware of what stories you may be telling yourself. And then from there, we're going to go through and see which of those stories are lies from the devil and what the truth is. But the first step is recognizing like what stories are we telling ourselves, right? Okay, any questions about that? No? Cool. Okay, good. Has anyone done something like that before? No. Maybe. Okay. That should be fun. I'm excited to hear what you guys come up with. Okay, and I've already talked about walking. We're just going to keep working on walking. This week, I know, like I said, I know it's cold out. And I'm going to just ask you guys to share if anyone has any creative ideas or ways to get movement and get their steps in. I will share what some of my other clients have been doing because it's been pretty amazing. Does anyone have any ideas or anything they want to share?
Well, I have a puppy. She's 16 months and lots of energy. So I literally run around the house and chase her, or she chases me, and it's a lot of work.
That's awesome. Anybody else?
I have a Nintendo Wii that I busted out this winter because I knew like I'm going to need this. And on the days where I'm exhausted and all I want to do is just watch TV, the Wii Fit has a mode where you just step up on the board and step back down, and you can watch TV, and the remote thingy, it just ticks to the beat, and that's it. And so then I'll spend like 20 minutes stepping up and stepping down just to get in extra steps while I watch TV.
That's amazing. I love that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I get like 5,000 steps during one of our practices.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And going up and down the stairs. So does that count?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. No, it doesn't count if you're working. Yes. Do you have a Fitbit or Apple Watch or something, BB, so you catch it all? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Anybody else? No? Okay, I'll just share I'll share 3 things from my other clients that I thought were pretty amazing. So one is if you have like a exercise bike, I know a lot of people are getting Pelotons. I just have a regular road bike on a trainer. I will just put on a TV show, or same thing if you have a treadmill or an elliptical, any kind of cardio, not doing it for cardio, but at the same intensity that you would like a leisure walk. So I've been going outside to get fresh air for like 5 minutes and then coming inside and doing like a leisure bike ride while I watch a really trashy show on Netflix. And that's kind of fun, but trying to keep in mind that I'm not trying to do like a whole like Peloton Soul Cycle, cardio death ride. It's just, as if I was going on a leisure walk. I have another client, actually, this was the same client. So she has 4 kids, and one night she did 7. Do you already know this, Laura?
I love Melanie. This is such a good story. I like died laughing. Tell it.
She did 7 loads of laundry, put away every single article of clothing one at a time while she listened to an audiobook. And she
just recently moved her laundry room to their basement, and all their rooms are upstairs. So I'm sure she busted her ass doing it. I saw it on Facebook. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think that is like the winner for like creativity and getting your steps. The same client, same friend of ours also, at night she'll like put in an audiobook and be like, don't talk to me. Well, she just walks around like picking up, same thing, like one thing at a time, putting it away, and just kind of like walking around the house, like picking up and tidying up a little bit. Lots of ways to move, even if it's too cold to go outside for like a long walk. And it's really, I've also got a picture from one of my other clients who was super bundled up. This is Leanne Ambria. Today she went outside for a walk. So like if my dad was in the military, so there's no bad weather, there's just bad clothing. So if you can really get bundled up and like everything but your eyes.
We went last Friday just before it got really cold.
Mm-hmm.
Problem was like, what was covered was sweating. So then I took something off and I'd be freezing. And it was just a bizarre feeling to be cold and hot at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun, but it was.
It's not super pleasant. My brother went cross country skiing and I was like, I think you're just doing that to like make a point. Tough you are. So just try to get in that movement as much as you can. The other thing is that will help you feel better and keep your energy up. The tendency is to want to just sort of like hibernate and nest when it's cold like this, but the more you're moving, the more your energy is going to stay up. If anyone else comes up with fun or creative ways to move or to get your steps in, please share them in the group so that everyone can learn from your creativity. Okay, that's all I have. I just have some closing reminders I'll go through, but Ambria had a question about protein powder. Or she said you wanted to talk about what. Do you have a specific question, Ambria?
Yeah, and we can talk about it next week too. I struggle with the protein, but maybe this is back to my coffee. Can I put powder in my coffee or just, and I've never successfully made a smoothie. I love the idea of it, but mine always tastes terrible. So trying to find, a quick, easy shake or smoothie or something to up the protein, but that's easy in the morning.
Sure. I have a company that I love that makes both protein powder and also sort of whole meal replacement shakes that are protein powder and like a perfect macro blend of carbs and fat. Also delicious. I can like shoot you a message and we can chat about that if you want. So that company's Isogenics. I love them, but I just really encourage everyone to kind of, you can figure out what works for you. There's no like right answer. That's what I like. Laura uses it. You love it, right?
Yeah, I've been using Isogenics for a while and then just recently got back into it when I worked with Annie. And then on top of Isogenics, another one is adding collagen powder to anything really. And I use Vital Proteins. That's like 20 grams of protein in one serving, and you can add it to your coffee in the morning, and it's flavorless. So that's a really easy way on like super, super low, and you can get it at Target, or Costco or whatever. But I love some of the different isogenic flavors. There's lots of, and they're cheap.
So I'll reach out to you about that, Ambria. If anyone else wants some recommendations for protein powder, just let me know. And like Laura said, the collagen powder is another great one. And the regular like whey protein powder or vegan protein powder, not great in hot coffee, not a great mix. I have mixed it in iced coffee, like our Frappuccino kind of style, and that works well, but I've not been able to work with the hot. And same thing, I know I've been showing you guys, I stir it into my oatmeal, but I make the oatmeal first and then I stir it in later. I've had a client try to make it an instant oatmeal and the whole thing just turned to mush. So it's kind of a delicate art, but I definitely recommend that everyone get like, protein powder or couple. And it's just something that you're adding to like your tool belt. So you're not feeling like, oh, I have to eat meat all the time, or I can't reach my protein. The other nice thing about protein shakes, two nice things is number one, it's the process, but in a good way, right? So it goes very quickly into your digestive system. It's easy for your system to break down. So it's a great thing if you're starving or right after a workout, because it goes right into your system more quickly. And then the other great thing is super easy to make and no dishes and nothing going bad. So speaking of the rules of the game, that it has to be easy and quick, it's a great way to just get that protein boost. I've also had clients tell me that just by getting that protein up and adding a shake or two to their day, they felt their energy just skyrocket. And same thing with like mental clarity. So yeah. Ariel, oh, okay. I don't know how the hand raising works, but okay, Ariel.
Thank you.
I just had a quick question because you kind of mentioned this about like the smoothies, and I realized that I have like whole earth sweetener that I'll throw into my like oats, but I wasn't sure if like you had thoughts on sweeteners, if like honey was the better way to go, or yeah.
Sure. This is really like all about macros. So like look at the macros, and is it like a calorie-free sweetener or something like that, or a low calorie?
It's like my holdover from like my keto days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's going to just depend on, how does it taste to you and how does it fit? again, like anything like whole, unprocessed, real food is
Mhm.
always probably going to be the best option. So like honey's great for that, unless you're a hardcore vegan, then it's not. Yeah, no problem with the sweetener stuff. Same thing with diet soda. I know that was a question that came up this week. Again, the spectrum, water or like sparkling water is great, but if you're like a hardcore diet Dr. Pepper girl or Dr. Sunkist or whatever, go ahead and have it. It's fine. I probably wouldn't have a whole, 6-pack every day, but if like that's your jam, and if that's going to keep you from eating like having like a regular Coke, like definitely a good option, or, whatever. But there's always kind of a spectrum, and just making whatever's the best choice under the circumstances.
Annie, real quick, one quick
Mhm.
question.
Sure.
So now that you have all the macros and everything figured out, approximately how many calories do you eat a day?
You like
I'm just curious.
2,500.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I was looking at your meals and I'm like, holy moly.
You're like, this girl
That's a
can
lot of
pack
food.
it in. Yes.
And that's the
So
point, right? If you eat
yeah.
the right foods.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's my goal for all of you guys. Maybe not 2,500, right? Because I'm 5'10" and like have a ton of muscle and I'm super active. But like
Yeah.
wherever you are, I want you guys getting to the place where you feel like, okay, I'm eating all the food I want to eat. I feel super nourished and satisfied. And I'm also hitting my goals.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
And I have to say, like, that's a great question, but it is going to be different for everyone. But I
Right.
just had a client today who's like, I'm eating more food than I've ever eaten before. She's losing like a pound a week super consistently. And she's like, it's so easy. I'm like, yeah, it gets to be if you know what to do, versus like all these, fad
Yeah.
diet kind of
Using.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions before we call it a night? Does everyone feel good about where we are and where we're going? Okay, awesome. So I'll send a follow-up email kind of with reminders and recap of everything. But just before we go, let me just recap everything. So closing reminder. So we're going to start tracking in MyFitnessPal, tracking food, also optional water and weight. Definitely track your water and your weight somewhere, but it could be in MyFitnessPal, it could be somewhere else. Incorporate like a 5-minute meditation into your daily routine. Again, could be more, like go nuts if you want to meditate for 30 minutes. But if you're new to this or you're kind of skeptical, just try like 5 minutes of like a guided meditation and just like see how it goes, see where it fits in your day, stuff like that. Make time like 30 minutes or something, maybe this weekend, to do that journal exercise of sort of the stories that you've been telling yourself about your health, your fitness, your goals. Really, like, is it a priority? Is it a luxury? You feel guilty, stuff like that. Continue keeping that balance journal, tracking your steps, your sleep, your hecking check? That's the question. And those daily journal prompts. And keep walking, keep on getting as many steps as you can. And then for those of you who haven't done this, do that SMART goals exercise I sent last week. And please send it to me, because the more I know about your goals and what barriers you're kind of anticipating and how I can help you, the better I can help you. And I really want everyone to get their goals. So the more I know, the better I can help you. And then if you haven't done your starting weights and measurement and progress pics, please do those too. The sooner the better, so we can see as much progress as possible by the end of our 12 weeks together. Okay, that's it. That's all for tonight. Thank you, ladies, for an amazing call. Okay, and you don't have to keep sharing pictures every single day in the Facebook group, but if you have something that you want to share, please do it. Think of that Facebook group as like, your little community hub. If you have questions, that's a great place to post them. If you have a meal that like you loved and you think other people might love it, or if you figure out a way to walk outside while not freezing, like go ahead and post that and share it in the group. Okay. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Have an amazing night.
Thanks, ladies.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.